All right, what's going on, you guys? Common Man Review back here. Panthers Bills last night, first preseason game of the year. Panthers had their ups and downs. Main storyline of this game, however, took center stage before kickoff. Cam Newton and Kelvin Benjamin went what could only be described as face to face. As you can see here. Cam confronts Kelvin Benjamin on the field. Kelvin is talking to Thomas Davis. Surely they're talking about Cam Newton. This is obviously the elephant in the room. And speak of the devil, the man shows up himself. Well, when Cam shows up to confront Kelvin Benjamin, Benjamin can only do what I can describe as punks out. Number one, he refuses to talk to Cam Newton man to man about the issue. He essentially brushes him off, acts like nothing is absolutely happening at the moment. Cam tries to rectify the issue. He tries to shake his hand, let bygones be bygones, but Kelvin Benjamin's having none of it. He proceeds to walk away and completely ignore any semblance of manhood, any semblance of fortitude, intestinal fortitude. I'm the type of person, I'm never going to say something behind your back. If I've got something to say to you, I will say it to your face. And as far as I go, Kelvin Benjamin doing something like that is the ultimate disrespect to a player like Cam Newton. He said something behind his back to close doors, and I'll be damned, when Cam confronts him about it, he bitches out. That's the best way to describe it. And then he says, I'm going to let my play speak for me, and I'm going to show out in this preseason game. Well, congratulations. You played well. You abused a mismatched Kevin Seymour in an oversimplified game plan. The Panthers did not move their corners with the receivers. They had a boundary and a field corner, and that was it. Obviously, I'm a big guy. When I played football, if I was blocking a 200-pound defensive end, I'm going to dominate that matchup as a 300-pound left tackle. It's just gonna happen. The second that ball is snapped, we're not within a confined enough space where at the high school level he's going to have the ability to get off my block. It just doesn't happen like that. Kelvin Benjamin, he's a freak athlete who uses freak athleticism to overpower a mismatch. That's what that boiled down to. Now, had this been a regular season game, okay, we've got a different story here. Bradbury's following you across the field. You've probably got Mike Adams or Denor Searcy, Rashawn Golden, somebody over the top to prevent that long touchdown from happening. Obviously he made some good catches. The Bills commentators were talking about Benjamin. They were talking about his improved work ethic, and that's another topic I want to get on. So, Kelvin Benjamin wants to call out Cam Newton for essentially being a lazy, inaccurate quarterback. Says he spends no time in the classroom. Says he doesn't work on his accuracy. He doesn't try to improve. Okay, great. You got kicked out of Carolina for your work ethic. If Cam Newton was that way, do you not think he would be gone right off the bat? You can call Cam what you want. You can call him a piss poor leader. You can call him a crybaby. You can call him whatever you want to. He's stuck around. He's been loyal to this franchise. He has led this franchise into what can only be considered a golden age for us. We've never been this good for this long. Yes, still never had back-to-back winning seasons, but we have made the playoffs 4 of the past 5 years. Granted, and when we haven't, it's been because of injuries. It hasn't been because of a lack of production. That's what we've got to understand here. So with that being said, I had to get that out of the way to say this. The Panthers looked good. Cam Newton was accurate in his preseason debut. He completed 6 of 9 passes. He did struggle to connect with Greg Olsen, but in a new scheme like that, hiccups are to be expected. You still saw a lot of the same concepts Ron Rivera likes in his offense. Saw a lot of power runs. You saw some read options. Christian McCaffrey made some really nice runs. He scored a touchdown. He looks like a more downhill runner this year. He's not going to be a Todd Gurley, Zeke Elliott, one of those guys who's going to handle the ball 30 times up the gut and just pound you into submission. But by God, he's going to hit you. He's bigger this year. He's stronger this year. It doesn't look like he's allowed to step as far as speed goes. He handled the majority of the first quarter duties and most of the second quarter. He handled most of the first quarter. Like I said, he showed a lot of good things. He was his same old self as far as the passing game goes. He and Cam have a really nice connection there. Cam's found a real nice check down option apart from Greg Olsen. The offensive line was stout except for Matt Khalil. He is again going to be an issue this year, which is going to be an issue when we go up against teams like Atlanta, New Orleans, Dallas. Guys like that with stout pass rushes. It's going to be an issue if he can't step his game up. The rest of the line held up relatively well. The backup quarterbacks were an interesting group, but I'll touch on that later. Back to what we saw with the offense. We saw some North Turner things. We saw some crossing routes, some outside runs, some Cam moved the pocket a little bit. He did some Cam Newton things, made some sacks miss. He bailed his offensive line out a couple of times, but that's going to happen with a mobile quarterback. So all in all, a really productive day for the first-team offense. The first-team defense, obviously, you had your issues with Kelvin Benjamin, but you only gave up 7 points. You came up with a nice stop, second drive, and towards the end of the quarter, with some of the starters still in, Shaq Thompson came up with a nice interception of Peterman. So the defense, they garnered 2 sacks, I think. Vernon Butler had 1. He sustained an injury as per the norm for him. But this one seemed to be a relatively minor injury, and he was back in the game later. Marquise Haynes got some pretty good pressure on the quarterback. That was one guy I was keeping an eye out on. Rashawn Golden was solid, if not consistent, in the secondary. He seemed to play a really conservative style this game, kind of predictable for a rookie in his position. He took some early game snaps. Dante Jackson had some flashes here and there, some athleticism. And then the first and second year receivers in the second quarter forward put on a show. DJ Moore had 1 catch in the first quarter from Cam Newton, and then he went off. He finished with 75 yards on, I think, 4 catches. He was just a really good run after the catch receiver, which is a lot of what he did at Maryland, and a lot of what he's going to do early on with the Panthers. He's going to be a real Stephon Diggs type of player. But the guy I wanted to keep an eye out on that I didn't expect to play as much as he did was Curtis Samuel. Curtis Samuel, I was super happy to see on the field. He looked really good in limited action. He had 4 catches for 40-some-odd yards. but it seemed like every time he caught the ball, there were yards after the catch that he got. He was sharp in his route running. He made really good aggressive catching, and just all in all had a productive day. Didn't look like he lost a lot as far as speed goes and agility. Jarris Wright, in his first year with the team, he had a really nice long catch where he made some people miss. He's going to be another Mr. Reliable for us. Not going to be a real flashy option, but he's going to get the job done. The backup quarterbacks I touched on earlier, so they were really good in this game as well. Gilbert was inconsistent, but that's to be expected with him. He's been on 4 teams in 5 years or something crazy like that. But Heineke really stepped up. He threw for 145 yards. He made some really sharp throws and really helped us get back in that game. When we had given up like 10 unanswered points, got down to a 17-7 lead, he helped us roar back to a 28-17 lead. So really good there. Just all in all, a solid effort, tough football. It's what you want to see from the Panthers. This looks like the kind of game we're going to have to win all year. Is those low-scoring matchups that have the potential to sort of eke up into the high 20s later on into the game. But anyway, you guys, that's all I got for this video. I will give you guys another review of what I see next week. Keep pounding, and I'll see you guys in the next video.